for His Word and for His people, and that I think that's the most amazing movement on the earth, and it's so exciting to me, and I just love being here, and so that's why for me.
All right, thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. Sometimes people tell me that I am afraid to the microphone, but microphone doesn't harm me at all. I'm afraid of my words. But I want to give thanks, God, for this opportunity. I have this time in my life. For 12 years I've been in the congregation. And it's a tremendous bless for me since the first day I come here to Kehilat Ariel. I was sitting down on the last pew over there, and I was coming with all my Christian interpretations of the Bible. And when I meet Luciano, my leader in the Parashat, God bless you, Luciano, Dios te bendiga, I start to see everything different. And every Shabbat, through the message of the rabbi, the picture's getting better and better and better according to what I previously read of the Bible. Because salvation comes by the Jews. The Lord told the Samaritan lady, the Samaritan woman, He say, you guys worship what you don't know, but we worship what we know because salvation comes by the Jews. And since then, I have more strong love for Israel, because my grandmother used to teach me to love Israel. She used to sing to Israel. And I really don't know how much Jewish I am, but I know I'm come from the Sephardics from Spain, because the names of my father and my grandfathers, they come from Sephardics. And a lot of them have to mix in Mexico, you know. So it's appreciation in my life that God brought me here, fulfilling His word, according to the book of Isaiah 57:13 and 14, where it says, if you keep my Shabbat, I will put you in the highest places of the earth. And how high can I go if I'm here right now? There's no more higher place than being in the Lord. So I give thanks to all of you. I give thanks to my rabbi. God bless him. I've been with him every Tuesday. And I have this feeling in my heart. So God bless you all. Shabbat Shalom.
Amen. So many of you attend the Parashat class. If you don't know, it's 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right before service here. And this morning, Rabbi Elliot Klayman taught the class. And he is going to share just a word, maybe tie it together here, what you'd like to share with us from Shabbat Bereshit.
Well, I feel like a couple sages who were asked to recite the entire Torah while standing on one foot, because I have 3 minutes. And I had 60 minutes earlier, so if you want the fuller version for the Parashiot, come out at 9 in the morning and hear it. Now, if you don't have time and you need it in like a minute, well, Aaron Trank, the Remigio's son-in-law, does it in 1 minute. You can go to parsha.co on your phones. Not now, please. And you can get it in 1 minute. It's an amazing thing. But I love new beginnings and starting anew here in Bereshit, in Genesis. And it starts with Bereshit. It starts with the first letter, Beit. That's the first letter, Beit. Beit means house. And so we enter into God's house. God rules. God is the head of His house. And when we open the Bible, then we enter into His realm. And in the Bible, early in Genesis, we start to see unveiled his plan, the plan of God, in an embryonic type of fashion. In fact, I've seen it that you could break the first word up, Bereshit, into bar and Ashit. Bar is a son in Aramaic, and Ashit means it's a future. I will put forth. A son I will put forth. We have a hint right there. Now, the bait, for those who know what it looks like, is a letter that is closed on all sides, except on the left side, it's open. It's closed in the back side, the top, and the bottom. So we're not to focus so much on those, but we're to focus upon going forward. And we're to focus upon what's open and what is in the scriptures. The things that are not there, are conjectural, but that which we know for sure, we should be focusing on and going forward. So we also learned the nature of God very early in the first verse, where it says, Bereshit bara Elohim. Bereshit means in the beginning. Bara, you know, bere, peri, hagafen, created. Bara is the past tense, singular, created. So in the beginning, created God, or God created. Elohim. It's a very unusual construct because you have a singular verb, bara, and normally in Hebrew and in English, a singular verb would agree with the object, which should be singular. So the numbers should agree, but here it doesn't. You have a singular verb, bara, and you have a plural noun, God, Elohim. Well, you know, it's a very unusual construct, but we serve a very unusual God, and he is a singular plurality, sort of a plural unity, sort of echad, which is what he is, not just a singularity. And in Genesis 1:3, many of the rabbis saw the Messiah where it says, Yehi or, vayehi or, let there be light. There was darkness, right? Yehi or, it's a command form. Be, we have the first command, be light. And the response was, there was light. And many of the rabbis see that light, which, by the way, appeared before the sun and the moon, which didn't appear till days later, was actually the Messiah. And it's interesting that the rabbis kind of figured that out. If they would have looked in the Berit Hadashah, the New Covenant, in John 1:1, they might have seen it earlier, because it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God, and the Word was the light of men, and the light shined in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. And so it's very clear in the scriptures there. And in Genesis 2:24, you know, Adam and Eve came together, and God said, a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Basar achad. It's interesting because Adam and Eve at that point in time didn't have a mother. And they had a father who was, of course, God. But it was looking forward, of course, to mankind and giving assurance that we would populate the earth. But it also was a hint of the Messiah himself, Yeshua, who would leave his heavenly father and who would leave his earthly mother and who would cleave unto his kihilah, his body, his congregation, and they would become basar echad, one flesh, even as we are with Messiah. So there's much, much more, of course, here, and it gives you also an embryonic prophecy in Genesis 3:15. It was darkness, and it was despair, and it was a fall, and they lost their garden, and they lost their innocence, and they were kicked out, and it looked like it was the end. But then God says that I will, in Genesis 3:15, that I will make enmity or division between you, the serpent, and the woman, and the serpent's seed, the seed of the serpent, and the seed or the progeny of the woman, and he, who is the Messiah, shall crush the serpent's head, and the Messiah will sustain a healing wound to his foot. And so in the midst of such despair, we find when things look so bad that they can't get any worse and we have to look up to see the bottom, that's when Messiah reveals himself. There was darkness on the face of the earth to the extent in Genesis at the end of this Parsha that God regretted that he formed man. I think it's a hyperbole where we're told how bad things were. But then God gave man, Noah, as a comfort to God. That's what Noah means, nuach, rest or comfort to God. And so Noah found favor in God's sight. It doesn't say why in this Parsha, why Noah found favor. And if you want to find out, you have to come to the Parsha next week.
Thank you. All right, closing blessing, the trio up front there with the Siddur, and the closing blessing of the Torah, page 92, bottom of 92.
Ding, ding, ding.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, Hayei olam natan betokenu, Baruch atah Adonai,
Noten HaTorah. Amen. I mean, we know there's religious skeptics all over and agnostics, but when it comes from the religious community of doubting the Bible, the quote religious community, there are Christian sources that doubt the veracity of the Bible. There was a political conference in Israel not so long ago at a place called Beit Jala. Of course, Jala meaning Arabic. So it was in the quote West Bank, and archaeologists, secular scholars, not religious, but they were debating on the political side that they had discovered some pools, some immersion pools in the West Bank. And the debate was, of course, the Jews said, hey, those are mikvahs, it's from King David, it's from, but this archaeological conference of secular scholars was trying to say, no, those are Roman baths. Israel never lived here. King David never existed. It's all a myth. It's a Bible thing. It's a Jewish myth. But of course, archaeology helps us. This is the kind of stuff we're going to look at. Specific discoveries that help us have a stronger understanding and belief in the Bible. There's a big difference between a Roman bath and a mikvah. Okay? Roman bath is just your nice jacuzzi, swimming pool, various sizes. But you always know a Jewish mikvah because every Roman bath has steps, one set of steps going down into this thing. But a Jewish one has two steps, two stairways going into the mikvah. Why is that? Well, when you go into mikveh, you're entering unkosher, as it were, ritual immersion, mikveh. And so you can't schlep up the same unclean steps. So, and guess what? These so-called baths discovered in the West Bank had dual steps. Right there, the archaeology tells you that this is a Jewish archaeological site. Well, there are skeptics, but there are believers. And a lot of this information I take from an excellent book, by the way, by a colleague, a friend, Dr. Randall Price. You may have heard of him, Dr. Randall Price. And this book is called The Stones Cry Out. So if you really want a book for the next several weeks on our studies, feel free to get this, The Stones Cry Out, Dr. Randall Price. And he is a believer, Bible believer, but a top-notch PhD archaeologist who works with the Israelis on various sites. And he has an excellent quote from Rabbi Nelson Gleck, a famous archaeologist who worked in the Negev. A rabbi. Again, this is a rabbi who actually believes the Bible, okay? He made this famous quote. As a matter of fact, however, it may be stated categorically that no archaeological discovery has ever controverted a biblical reference. Ever contradicted a biblical reference, is what the rabbi says, archaeologists. Scores of archaeological findings have been made which confirm in clear outline or in exact detail historical statements in the Bible. And by the same token, proper evaluation of biblical descriptions has often led to amazing discoveries. The Bible, the rabbi is saying the Bible has been our guide. Just read Joshua and you'll find out where the archaeological sites are. All these form a vast mosaic of the Bible's almost incredibly correct historical memory. Interesting, important quote by famous rabbi Nelson Gleck. In other words, do you get what he's saying there? That there is science, and a lot of times that's kind of in a different level than so-called faith issues, Bible issues. But he's saying archaeology is a bridge that has evaluated the Bible, continues to evaluate the Bible, and nothing found in the rocks has contradicted the Bible. Think about that. If the Bible was a man-made book, there'd be mistakes every other page. There are other religious books that they're not even concerned about archaeology or science. It's only the God of Israel, the Bible, author of the Bible, that puts it together that it can't be man-made, or else you would have these contradictions, especially in think about this, our modern technological era. How could Moses know 3,500 years ago about some of these things? How could Joshua know thousands of years ago? New Testament we will talk about.